Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and normally with these Activision videos, I like to toss in my own little skit, something of sheer stupidity and cringe to make all of you laugh. But quite honestly, I feel like with this headline, folks may think this is a non-serious topic, and so it's something I really want to just get straight into. Spyro Reignited Trilogy dropped in this last week, and a lot of fans have really enjoyed it. It appears that the games came out in great shape, the delay benefited the game, and it's also selling pretty well. Furthermore, it's getting a nice sale on Black Friday where you can acquire it for $30, so I think a lot more people are only going to hop in with it, and that's great news for Spyro and the future of this series. However, there's one thing that's missing, and that's subtitles in Spyro Reignited Trilogy. It appears that this is also an intentional decision. So the following information comes from GameInformer.com. I will have that linked in the description down below, and let's get right into it. When the Spyro games first released on the PlayStation in the late 90s, they lacked subtitle options for the game's cutscenes. This isn't too shocking as voice acting on console games was fairly nascent, and disability options were not often talked about. When the Reignited Trilogy remakes of the first 3 games in the series released last week, the game's 35 minutes of cutscenes also contain no subtitles despite 20 years of guidelines and best practices informing that decision. While this in itself is an issue and one can be fixed with a patch or an update, Activision's response to questions on the subject seems to indicate that they made a decision not to focus on subtitles. In a statement to British video game outlet GamePit, Activision provided the following explanation. When Toys for Bob set out to make an awesome game collection, there were certain decisions that needed to be made throughout the process, Activision said. The team remained committed to keeping the integrity and legacy of Spyro that fans remembered intact. The game was built from the ground up using a new engine for the team, Unreal 4, and was localized in languages that had not been previously attempted by the studio. While there's no industry standard for subtitles, the studio and Activision care about fans' experience, especially with respect to accessibility for people with different abilities, and will evaluate going forward. Give me a break, Activision. Before I rant, allow me to explain why I'm expressing displeasure with subtitles, because I realize at face value, it looks like I'm overreacting. It starts off with me believing that gaming is one of the most inclusive things on this planet. For example, Microsoft creating the adaptive controller to allow more disabled gamers to get involved. This type of stuff is incredible. There are so many gaming charity organizations. I've personally worked with able gamers in the past, and this type of stuff makes gaming so inclusive. And when you see Activision directly neglecting something that helps folks with disabilities enjoy their product, and that it was a choice, and one that their response is something so detached, saying, yeah, there's no standard for this, so we're not going to do it, just burns me up to no end, even if it's Activision. I understand it's a bit of a meme for me to, yell at Activision, do the over-the-top skit, and we all joke around about it, and it's usually a fun time, but this is something that I think is downright ridiculous because it looks like, to me, at face value, and I very rarely ever say this about game development, but it just looks like a lazy decision. They were like, yeah, there's no standard, so we didn't do it. And that is true to an extent, but so many people rely on it to have an experience delivered to them, especially those who are of hard of hearing or are deaf. Activision, have you ever considered that aspect of things? And the fact that they kind of leave the door half open on this and don't even say like, hey, we're going to add this in a future patch. We understand this is a quadrant of gamers that can enjoy our product because we didn't put the support in there for that, which is something that pretty much every game has had since God knows when. I get that video game subtitles are a bit more difficult than something along the lines of a movie, but still, man, I mean, I just don't think neglecting that openly and putting a statement out there that's so strange is right. And I think that maybe Activision knew putting it out there, most people would overlook this headline like, oh, there's no subtitles in Spyro, who cares, right? But I don't know. I don't think I'm overreacting. I think this is a much bigger issue than it's being given credit for, and I wanted to spread at least some awareness on it and hope that Activision decides to add a patch to this game for folks who would like to enjoy this game but simply cannot. Anyway, I'd love to hear from all of you in the comments down below. Do fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.